is best. By that we mean where it fits in the community, who it serves, and also how housing and commercial development can be coordinated together. So we're suggesting these 4 steps or 4 sub-strategies within this recommendation. And the first is to implement the Regional Transportation Authority's Transit-Oriented Development Plan that you've already been working on. And we know that you completed a first phase that looked at the concept of what you would like to add near the train station, and the second phase is still ongoing, looking at the financing strategies that are available to the village, ranging from tax increment financing to also purchasing land at the station. So our first recommendation is to continue that process and implement that plan once it's completed. The second strategy that we recommend considering is to coordinate development efforts with Governor State University. During our meetings through this process, the university expressed an interest in adding more housing for their students, for their faculty, and very specifically for student athletes. And this could be coordinated with the village's efforts related to transit-oriented development near the metro station as well. The third strategy we recommend is to consider an update to the village's comprehensive plan to guide growth outside of the transit-oriented development area. Now, the last comprehensive plan update was in 2014. Some has changed in University Park since then. You've added hundreds, if not 1,000 jobs since then. You have many more seniors who are aging in the community and have shifting housing needs as they age. And a comprehensive plan update can help you identify what housing is best fit for both of those growing groups, what's feasible for developers to build, and where that housing development should be focused. For example, the town center area around Village Hall could be a great focal point for both housing and commercial development. And the fourth strategy within this first recommendation is to launch a community marketing plan similar to what we heard from what Homewood did during the expert panel. In that panel meeting, Homewood attributed much of their recent success in attracting development to a proactive marketing approach. They proactively engaged developers to let them know of the opportunities, but they also proactively engaged potential residents. They ran ads on the radio, online. They ran social media ads in targeted neighborhoods in Chicago and the region about the appeal of living in Homewood. They called it the Think Homewood campaign. Now, Homewood staff in our expert panel meeting said that the budget for this was relatively small, smaller than you might think, and they said they think it paid off in terms of raising interest in living in the community. Yes. Yeah, I believe it's on the agenda, and it was item 10. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We. Mm-hmm. Sure, absolutely. We have one copy on us right now, but we can certainly work with village staff just to make sure that there are paper copies available as soon as possible to read. I don't have extra copies right now. And ma'am, I do think that's a great question, and I appreciate it. And along with paper copies, we can bring that down as soon as possible. It could also be something that's put on the website for the village or our website, so that way people can access it right away first thing tomorrow.
And I wanted to add, this is a draft. So this is a draft, it's a working document. Once we have adopted or we decide that this is something we want to move forward with, we will make it readily available to the public. But because this is a draft, we don't want to put something out and we make amendments to it and we put out the wrong issue. So this is a working document. This is for us to have a discussion and a conversation. So.
Thank you, Manager Scott. Thank you for the good question. With each of these 4 recommendations, the Homes for a Changing Region program breaks them down into smaller, bite-sized action steps. That's sort of why it's called a housing action plan. So for this first recommendation, we outline a few. One is to evaluate the potential of purchasing property next to the metro station. The second is to use the financing strategies provided by the Regional Transportation Agency Transit-Oriented Development Plan that you're still in the process of developing. The third next step would be to look at other properties in the train station area or other parts of town that would be beneficial for the village to acquire. When it comes to coordinating with the university, the small action step that we suggest is just setting up regular meetings between the university and village leadership, whether that's once a month, every 2 months, every 3 months, whatever would be best. The fifth next step here would be to determine if a comprehensive plan is feasible at this time. Honestly weighing the costs and benefits of that step, because it would be a cost. The sixth next step would be to create a marketing campaign, or consider creating a marketing campaign similar to what was implemented in Homewood. And related to that, you could speak with the university about the potential of having this be a student project or an internship that a student or group of students could help with a marketing plan like Homewood did. The second big picture recommendation that we laid out based on the expert panel is to encourage local employers to support their employees moving closer to University Park. And one way of doing that is by encouraging them to join an ongoing effort that's called the Southland Employer Housing Consortium. Now, the Southland Development Authority, the logo at the bottom of the screen, is really the driving force behind this effort. By consortium, they'd simply mean a group of employers working together. The goals of this effort are to grow the local population, encourage housing construction, and boost commercial and industrial growth. And the overarching connection between that is encouraging local employees to live in University Park or closer to work. And the way that they would be doing that is by providing employees housing counseling and down payment or rental assistance to move closer to work. Employers would be engaging in discussions about housing when the village has them. And then employers could also contribute in other ways, such as donating land, or as the university is doing, consider ways to coordinate their development efforts with local efforts that the village is taking on. Now, Governors State University is actually the first Southland employer to be piloting this effort. So it's really starting here at University Park. Governors State University launched their pilot in 2023 by providing housing counseling and a $15,000 down payment assistance for a handful of employees to live in University Park or within a 5-mile radius. And they saw the benefit of that and decided to launch a second phase earlier this year. So the Southland Development Authority is actively working to add employers to this group, and that's where the village could step in by helping with that recruitment effort. I won't go into great detail about what's shown here on the screen, but there's really 4 building blocks of the Southland Development's approach. They want to focus on resources for employees, so that can be counseling, that can be down payment or rental assistance, but they also want to encourage employers to contribute to conversations about housing. and also conversations about policies that they can support as well at the local or state level. So when it comes to actionable strategies that the village could do regarding this effort, there's really two, and they complement each other. The first is to educate employers about this effort and introduce them to the Southland Employer Housing Consortium. Now, Governor State University wants University Park to thrive, but other employers may be motivated more simply by their bottom line, because when employers have employees live closer to work, they actually benefit a lot by having better retention efforts and less turnover from people living closer to their work. So one step that you could do is just talking with employers as they're going through the development process, through any sort of permitting conversations, or you could also bring employers together for a meeting, inviting the HR directors or executives. And we as the Mayor's Caucus would be happy to help with this effort. We'd be happy to attend, we'd be happy to share information about how this has been very successful in other parts of the state. There's just a few examples here shown on the screen of how it's worked, but in St. Charles, one employer found that they actually saved $100,000 per year through this effort. The University of Chicago has done employer-assisted housing, and their motivation was to help encourage investment in different neighborhoods in the south side of Chicago. And then Rock Island, Illinois is really the best example across all of Illinois, because they've gotten 40 different employers together on this effort for over 20 years. It's really a primary economic development strategy for the community of Rock Island. And Rock Island is what the Southland Development Authority is basing their model off of. The second strategy that you could take on is just utilizing outside resources that are readily available. The state of Illinois offers a tax credit for employers who provide down payment assistance to their employees. So for example, if I'm an employer and I give $10,000 to my employee for down payment assistance, I would actually get a $5,000 tax credit from the state. That makes my money go further as an employer. For that, you could simply make sure employers are aware of that resource. Will County offers funding through the Community Development Block Grant funding that could be used for down payment assistance. For that, if the Southland Development Authority goes to Will County for funding, you could offer a support letter to that application to make it more likely. So when it comes to next steps you could take on this effort, as I mentioned, a very practical step is just getting the employers together in the same room, introducing them to this effort that's ongoing. And Governor State University has said they would be happy to participate in that conversation, talk about what they've done, and talk about why they're wanting more employers to join their efforts. Another step that you could take is consider your interest as an employer yourself, as a municipality, of joining this effort. And then a third is to support the Southland Development Authority's efforts to obtain funding from organizations like Will County, if they reach out to you for a support letter, offering a support letter. The third of 4 recommendations here that I'll briefly touch on is to activate the village's partnership with the South Suburban Land Bank to redevelop vacant homes and lots. We know that since the expert panel, the village has continued conversations with the land bank, so this may not be entirely new to anyone here. But I'll briefly describe how the land bank works. They really have a 3-step process. The first is to acquire title to a property that's entirely vacant, entirely abandoned. Then they would absolve back taxes, liens, and liabilities, and then they would activate that either by doing a light rehab and selling it, a full rehab, or even building from the ground up on a vacant lot. Now here's an example of the land bank's work over in neighboring Park Forest. In this case, they turned a vacant home into a livable one, selling it to a new home buyer. We know that there's differences between University Park and Park Forest, less vacancy, less vacant homes in University Park. But what we want to highlight here is the benefit that this effort has on the entire neighborhood. Park Forest was able to quantify that homes throughout the neighborhood saw nearly a 6% increase in their property value, and that for every dollar the land bank spent on this home, there was nearly a $6 increase in property tax revenue for the village. So this is just one example from the land bank's report on everything they did last year. I would highly recommend anyone who's curious about that and how the land bank works to look at the South Suburban Land Bank's website. So when it comes to next steps in partnering with the land bank, the first step would just be identifying a list of properties and lots in the village that are vacant or tax delinquent, and sharing this list with the South Suburban Land Bank, and talk about what you as a village would like to see for these properties. The third step would be just setting up a process to work with the land bank, and very specifically just figuring out which staff person would be the point of contact. And then the fourth step would be talking with the land bank about other ways they can help your efforts. Maybe they could help with assembling land, holding properties in areas like the train station area. And the fourth and final recommendation that I'll highlight here is to connect residents and property owners with home repair and improvement resources. And there's 3 here on the screen that we dive into in the report. The first is a property management training provided by the Community Investment Corporation. This is free for landlords, and it helps them better market manage and maintain residential rental properties. The second is called the Energy Savers Program. This is provided by Elevate Energy. For both single-family homeowners and multifamily properties, this provides a free energy assessment and access to grants, loans, and discounted products to improve energy efficiency. They can also offer discounted products for water efficiency too. The third resource is the Home Repair and Accessibility Program, which is funded by the Illinois Housing Development Authority. This provides up to $50,000 per income-eligible household for repairs and accessibility improvements. Now, the Home Repair and Accessibility Program, that's one to pay special attention to. IDA is currently deciding which nonprofits in the area are awarded that funding, and here in the next few months, that decision will be announced. So once that happens, we'll be sure to let Manager Scott know, and you can know to let residents know, hey, at a certain date, you should be on the lookout for this organization's application to start opening. So when it comes to next steps on home repairs and accessibility improvements, one is to just set a communications plan of how you want to let residents and property owners know about these resources, whether that's through your newsletter. I see there's an HOA meeting coming up, a town hall meeting coming up. Those are opportunities that you could let people know about these resources. Having a plan for letting multifamily property owners and landlords know about these resources is beneficial too. In Park Forest, they host a housing fair on an annual basis where they simply invite organizations like I just mentioned. They invite trusted banks. They invite housing counseling agencies together under one roof, and they invite residents to come and speak with them. I'm sure the Village of Park Forest would be happy to just share contacts for those organizations that they work with, and that could be something you try to replicate. The fourth step would just be to sign up for communication from IDA, the Illinois Housing Development Authority, so that way you know when grants are coming online in the future. And then the fifth and final step is just to remain active with groups that the Mayor's Caucus convenes. We have a Housing and Community Development Committee that meets quarterly. I know the South Suburban Mayors and Managers Association has a group that's focused on housing and environmental issues. Staying active in those groups helps you stay aware of resources as they come online. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you for the opportunity and for being so generous with your time and us walking through that. We're very happy to answer any questions that you have right now.
I would like to comment. First, I want to thank you all for coming out. I've been in several of those meetings with the transit and the housing. I've been in this room with them, and I've done it by way of Zoom. So I was able to pick out homes and contribute to the conversation. Now, when you mention the 50,000, is that a grant? Is that something they have to pay back, or is that given to the homeowner?
That is a great question. The $50,000 per household from the Home Repair and Accessibility Program, that is provided as a forgivable loan. So essentially a grant. So long as the person lives in the house for a certain number of years, I believe it's either 3 or 5 years, that loan is entirely forgiven. So it operates as a grant, but it is just a forgivable loan.
Okay, and the other thing I want to mention, when you were talking about the employers and living in the neighborhood, because right now we do have a head tax, and the businesses in University Park, if they hire people and they're not a University Park employee, they are subject to a head tax. So that would be a good thing for us to emphasize, because I'm sure these employers would agree to want to pay less than more. And if I'm not mistaken, I think, Ms. Scott, we are having some type of night where all the businesses from University Park. Yes, so that's excellent, and that's something that we can really, contribute and let people know, get these businesses out here, because I think they should be doing more for our community. They should be giving more money towards scholarships and other things, but if we can get them to come out, because one thing I mentioned in those meetings is that we need the PACE bus to go to the industrial area, because we have a lot of young people, they don't have cars yet, but they're seeking and searching for jobs. So every time we've had these meetings, I have pushed that with PACE to please consider, even if it just runs 1 hour, on every hour, to take people to the industrial park area, because that's too inviting, and that too will make our young people and others want to get a job in that area. And when I went to Recon, myself and Trustee Fulcher, to Las Vegas, we had learned from the best, and Trustee Lewis was there as well, and McFadden, and we learned that housetops mean everything, rooftops. That's what brings the businesses, the companies. They want to invest in a community that has growth, that they're seeing more housing, and that's something I think we do want to do with our governor's state students, is provide more housing off campus, and these are things that will contribute to this. So again, I think this was very helpful. I want to continue to learn about the interbank government and ways that we can contribute and get people to come out and learn about this, because this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, does anyone have any questions regarding any items on this agenda? Earthrise, come on, please. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I'll attempt to stay on my feet so more people can kind of get a view of the slides here. But Mayor Rudez, trustees, Administrator Scott, it's great to see you again. My name is Ryan Dunphy. I'm an associate at Earthrise Energy. I'm here to present about our proposed solar project in the area and kind of provide the trustees and the community a little bit of information about what we're doing, as well as a proposal for a community benefit donation to support what we think is a really great initiative in the community University Park. So I'll attempt to walk around without tripping on everything, but we'll see how this goes. So Earthrise Energy, we're what's called an independent power producer. That means we build and operate power plants and solar facilities. We have a number of projects up and down Illinois. This is probably the northernmost one we're proposing. In our kind of strategy is we use existing electrical transmission infrastructure that's already in place and connected to the transmission side of the grid, so the kind of biggest, broadest part of the electric grid, to speed up our ability to bring new sources of clean electricity online. We are based in Arlington, Virginia. We've got a 50-person team nationwide, and we have built kind of a pipeline of solar developments alongside a variety of power plants that we own in Illinois. And we are building, starting construction in Gibson City on 2 of those projects right now with union labor. And we've also been an active donor to organizations across Will County, donated over $700,000 in the past 3 years. So we're really, we're a public benefit limited liability company. So we're liable not just to our shareholders, but to the stakeholders around our project, which we include to be all of y'all and the trustees this evening. So a little bit about Earthrise. As I said, we have owned some existing fossil fuel plants. So we own what's called a peaker plant in Crete and another one in Manhattan. These are natural gas powered power plants, and they're designed to only come on to ensure grid reliability when there's kind of these short-term periods of high demand. So the hottest days of the year when we're all turning on our AC, or maybe the coldest days of the winter when everyone's turning on their baseboard electricity. But majority of the year, about 80% of the year, these plants are not operating. So we are using the connection that these facilities have with the electric grid and try to, push some new solar energy to the grid the remaining 80% of the year. Our fossil fuel plants in Crete, Manhattan are already big tax providers for taxing bodies across the county. We provided almost $1 million in tax revenue in 2023. And I'll talk a little bit about what we're proposing to do. So, we're proposing to, I think this is probably the more interesting slide, 2 projects, one near the village of Manhattan and one near University Park in the village of Crete. This one is called Plum Valley Solar. So this is a 260 megawatt solar facility that's under development. So we are, before doing any construction, we are anticipating that we're going to be starting construction in the first half of next year. And this project's anticipated to provide enough energy annually to power about 40,000 Illinois households. It'll connect to the, see more people can kind of see the screen here. Connect to the grid at our Crete Energy Venture power plant in Crete. And to do this, we're going to be seeking special use permits from both the village of Crete and from Will County. We'll also get some road use agreements with the pertinent authorities. And we're looking forward to employing several hundred union construction workers during construction. And then, a steady team at both our power plants who will be managing the power plant or the solar facilities on an ongoing basis. And the bulk of this power is stored through what's called the Illinois Power Agency. So this is a statewide body that kind of represents all the utilities in the area. I'll talk a little bit about kind of where this project is. So I've got this this map up. It is the kind of outermost boundaries of where the solar facility is planned to be built. So it's certainly not everything within this footprint, but is kind of a string of pearls, various properties that are going to host solar arrays, kind of mostly south and west of the village of Crete. It's not within the corporate boundaries of University Park, but we do consider ourselves a neighbor to the community. So that's why I'm here today. But the total kind of solar array footprint's going to be about 25, I guess the whole project area is about 2,500 acres. And the solar panels are actually going to cover a much smaller subset of that. project area. So we will have, to this woman's point, we're going to have a project website up a little bit later this fall. Going to host all the information about the project. We'll also be hosting some open houses in October, and we'll have obviously applications with the villages and with the counties that anyone can investigate and read. So, oh, you're so generous. Thank you. So just from a time frame standpoint, so we've acquired these power plants in 2022. We've been acquiring land over the past couple of years and begun outreach to some municipalities, and we're now in the stage of preparing our applications to the villages and to the county at the moment. And then I think the big next milestone we'd be anticipating the beginning of construction in the first half of 2026, Q1, Q2, and then be starting commercial operations in 2027, 2028. I'm going to give you a tip when we're done, so thank you. So we've got, we're already a big taxing entity in the area, but we're anticipating that the 2 solar projects are going to be a big impact to local taxing bodies. So we're anticipating that combined, there'll be in excess of $6 million of new tax revenue in the first year of the project, going to villages, fire districts, school districts across our project area into Will County. But beyond that, we're also really believe in our mission as good corporate citizens in the area. I mentioned our corporate giving. We've given a lot of grants through our RISE grant programs to fire districts, the Forest Preserve, to Governor State University, where we've started a scholarship recently, and supported a lot of local causes and events that we're really proud of. We also, I mentioned the kind of employment benefits through the construction period. There'll be several hundred construction jobs. We are very proud to have signed an MOU with the tri-trades, so the 3 unions that will be building the project. So this will be a 100% union-built project. This is really rare for this kind of large-scale, utility-scale project in Illinois. But again, we're really committed to using union labor for this project. I'll try to walk back again so more folks can see. We also pride ourselves on being collaborators with first responders in the area. So we have been working we understand we're the first solar developer in the area to work with first responders in the project design standpoint. So we took last week several of the fire districts down to our Gibson City, solar facility for a tour of the construction. It's in construction right now. This is about a 1,300 acre project going on in Gibson City. So we, gave them a tour, tried to get them a sense of, what's the facility look like, what are the hazards we need to plan for, and did an extensive discussion about design requirements so we could make sure that first responders feel confident in their ability to access all parts of the facility, respond to any incidents, however rare they might be, across the project. And we've also been very proactive in supporting their readiness, both from a training standpoint. We're working to develop solar facilities training for first responders statewide. Is something we're really proud about, as well as using tax abatements and community benefit agreements to front load some of our property tax payments so we can fund some equipment needs for the fire districts, that they would help them feel confident in their ability to respond to incidences. So thank you. I want to kind of talk a little bit about specifically what how we want to support the community of University Park. So, we've been, our project is not within the corporate boundaries of the village, but we still feel like y'all are neighbors. You're part of our stakeholder group, part of the community that we consider, part of our world that is benefiting from our project. So what we've offered is a $100,000 community benefit donation to all villages that are within 1.5 miles of our project area. And we really want that donation to support a project that's going to be meaningful and notable for the community. So having met with the village administrator and the mayor a couple weeks ago, they were highlighting a gazebo and some bathroom facilities at Pine Lake Park in need of renovation, and we'd be thrilled to support that. I'm a big outdoorsman and big believer in making public access to the outdoors and nature free and easy. So I would be really excited to support this. Can you back just one slide real quick? Thank you so much. And so just on the next step, I know a number of y'all, or maybe all of y'all, have seen the draft agreement that we've shared with you, and so would be anticipating getting any feedback or questions you might have about that agreement, and ultimately working with y'all to execute that, and look forward to this donation to the community when we're ready to operate commercially. So that's what I have to share this evening. Maybe can I give you the next slide? Thank you so much. I'm from the rest of my team that you may meet at some point here, hopefully soon. My name's, again, Ryan Dunphy. I'm a development associate, part of the team at Earthrise developing this project. But we also have our own community development engagement team and that helps with RISE grants and other things, and a wonderful group of folks. So I'll pause there and I see if there's any questions from the trustees. Absolutely, yes.
Do you have state approvals already for your?
So the state approvals have set kind of a, what I would call like a, oh, there we go, minimum standard by which any project of this type in the state of Illinois must meet in order for it to get approved by the county. So it's kind of a precedent that's set at the state level that the county then enforces effectively. So we don't need to seek a permit with the state of Illinois. We do have, I'd say, like electrical infrastructure connection applications that we do with different, state utility commissions. But largely for the permitting of the project, we're thinking about a special use permit with the two villages in the county.
Second question.
Yep.
Tell me the boundaries again. I know you said it's not within corporate either.
Yes. I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Boundaries of the project.
Like where is it exactly? Let's see if we can. I don't know how many. So that's probably. There we go. So this is. I'll see if I can get in a easy position here. So I know this is not great resolution for everyone. University Park's up here. Crete's up here. This is our power plant in Crete. This is Crete Money Road. This is Knack Road here. So the majority of the project is kind of south and west of the Crete Money Road, and I think this is the CSX railway right here, so we're kind of west of that area. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Great.
And then you said something about hazards. So what kind of hazards are you anticipating?
Yeah, so that's a great question. What we were talking about with first responders is what we're really anticipating is that they're going to be responding to probably two types of incidences. What we hope is a very rare circumstance in which a member of our team, who's a licensed operator of the solar facility, is working on some kind of maintenance item, and they do this in pairs, so they're never alone. And someone has a bee sting or a heart attack or some kind of medical emergency, and how do you get to that person in this kind of a facility? That was kind of one circumstance that we hope is really rare, but again, people are working outside. There's just kind of hazards that are resident in that. And then the other was brush fires from neighboring properties. So typically, once a lot of the, we're in an agricultural setting largely, and if folks have harvested neighboring properties and there's a lot of dead kind of growth on the ground, that has potential in the late fall and spring to get ablaze and kind of get close to the facility. So, whether it's brush trucks or just making sure that those first responders can get through our properties to get to the kind of outer perimeter more easily, those were kind of the two hazards we were talking about. But there's very little what we call combustible material on the site that can be burnt. There's some, I don't want to bore you with the engineering details, but there's a little bit of oil, maybe 50 gallons in each of the inverters, which convert the DC electricity in the solar panels into AC that actually goes, onto the grid. So that is a small opportunity for, a very small incident, but.
Is there any waste associated with that?
Any waste?
Waste like going to the ground or
Yeah, I mean, I think very, very minimal.
always just there, or
Yeah. I think I think it would be like changing the oil on a engine or something like that with very little, seldom frequency, but we have professionals that are trained to kind of do that work.
Where does the oil go?
We have a whole regulation around hazardous waste disposal that's part of our, power plant license and operating, agreement. So that gets taken to off-site, usually somewhere quite a bit ways away where there's, a dedicated waste disposal. It's not like going down bringing it to the auto body shop or something like that. So absolutely. Move to the other side here.
I had a question.
Yes.
So has Creek already approved the project? Because I know you said you have to get a special use.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's a great question. We're about probably 6 weeks away from applying to the village. So we've had a number of conversations with them, kind of, preparing them for what our plans are, but we haven't filed our special use application.
and it's really not as so concerning you, but for the donation, which is great that you're reaching out to the surrounding communities.
Yep.
And donating to the communities. But just overall, I know it was for the Pine Lake, a couple things at Pine Lake, but that might be something that I think, the rest of the board has to kind of agree with.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I think it's a group decision. I think we want to make sure that it's going towards a project that the community really feels like is going to be impactful and visible and have a meaningful kind of impact on the community. So that's certainly not our decision. That's up to you. We try to,
right.
So
that's what I said.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for the information.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate
Are you able to put up the first page? Or I'll just introduce myself. Mark Good with Venture One Real Estate. I've met many of you over the years. Before we get started, I just want to say it's been great. This is our 25th anniversary year for being an investor and owner here in University Park, and we really appreciated the relationship over the last 2.5 decades. So thank you very much. A lot of you are familiar with what we've accomplished here in, that's not the first page. Can you go back one? One more? There. Our first investment here in University Park goes back 25 years, and we're pretty proud of the fact of the way we've worked with the community. And what this slide shows here, and I put that up there, but also tried to angle this to you here, is that when we first got involved in University Park, we realized that we needed to be a part of the community. So over the years, just perspective-wise, we've donated 3 different parcels to the community, really for a park and for obviously the public service building. And we will continue to do that as we move forward, going forward with University Park, and we appreciate that. One of the other things that I think is really important, if you go to the next slide, is that we try to look at it and say, what did we really bring to the community over 25 years? Were we part of the participation in the growth of the community? And I had my staff put this together for me, and when you consider the fact that we've, built 3 major buildings here, Ryerson's building, Amazon building, Georgia Pacific, in each of those situations, we paid a permit fee to the village when we built those buildings. That gets lost a little bit, but that is when you build a major facility, you do pay a permit fee. And then along with that, because we were in TIFs, we were able to provide an impact fee to the village for fire safety equipment and policing equipment. The Amazon deal allowed us to rebuild the University Parkway and Central signalization that was done. We were able to also improve Craig Park, and then obviously the land donations. So over the last 25 years, we can look at it and say industrial development because of the way it's done, really provides significant benefits, not just, you know, a building in your community, and honestly, not just real estate taxes that we're paying, but really look to give back to the community. In addition, having just heard the presentation from the person in front of me, if you want to create a live-work environment, you know, our 3 projects that we've done here in the last 7 years have created over 2,000 good-paying jobs in University Park, and working together to try to create a live-work environment where you have really good-paying jobs in the community now that we've brought, and we want to continue to see that happen. So what our plan is, and you can see it on the screen here, is to extend existing TIF 7 across Cicero Avenue to include the land that we have and also Alan Silverman has in this little spot here, so that we can continue to grow the industrial base here and bring these jobs to University Park. One of the key factors in doing that and listening to the person that just spoke is, if you go to the next slide, which hones in on our property, is that we really have 3 different components here, which really speaks to what they just talked about. And that is that we have over 200 acres here. And the way we've looked at it is that the corner sites, which would be on the extension of Steger Road going forward to Governor's, which you would need to do retail, you need to have a corner. It's already lit, so a lot of the money's been spent to create a retail environment there. These 2 blue areas would be retail. And they're decent sizes. You can have restaurants, you can have banks, you can have some shopping. They're decent sized properties here that could support a decent retail development right on this corner. And then this pink area here is, you know, in University Park, as are these apartments. And we've met with the village. We want to create a live-work environment. Our perspective is this would create a very good property for multifamily development. And it's 26 acres, I think, of land. And we're estimating you can do over 200 units, really nice apartment units, on this property here, which on the north side of Steger Road, all the other property around here is all residential. So it fits in with the community, it fits in what the community wants. And then the yellow here, some of it floodplain here, but the yellow here can support 2 more buildings similar to Amazon and Ryerson in terms of industrial that would provide a significant amount of tax base to allow us to do some of these things here. So at the end of the day, what you would have with our project are 3 different types of zoning. You'd have retail, multifamily, and industrial, and that would create what most communities call a live-work environment, where you have the housing that they were just talking about coming in an affordable way. And being in a TIF, the benefit is, and we just did this in Wisconsin, where we have a much larger parcel, but we sold off, because we're not residential developers, and we're not retail developers. So we sold off the land to a residential developer who's building 700 units as part of our business park, so that people can live there and walk to work. And there's a shopping center already there across the street. So it's creating truly a live-work environment. However, none of this property can get developed, either for the residential, the retail, or any industrial, without Steger Road being produced. So you can go to the next slide. There you go. So if you look at this, right now, as all of you know, Steger Road ends at Cicero Avenue. It's been in the long-term plan to take Steger Road from Cicero Avenue over to Governor's Highway. We would be happy if the city wanted to pay for that and build that road for us, but we know that that's probably not possible. However, because of the projects we've done with both Amazon and Ryerson, they are paying enough taxes to the community and into the TIF District 7 currently that the 25% part that goes into the TIF 7 area could support getting that road built. Now, whether I build it or you build it, someone has to borrow the money to build it. What I'm going to propose to you is that if we work together, we take and utilize those dollars that are coming into TIF 7, which is only Ryerson, Amazon, and our corner property, so those dollars have to be spent for the benefit of the TIF district, that by expanding the TIF district the way we've talked about, that it would allow us to utilize those dollars, again, either you or us, to build Stager Road. If you do build Stager Road, then you would be able to see the possibility of 200 new apartment units, retail at Stager and Cicero, and possibly another 1,000 or 2,000 jobs where people could work and live in the same area. And I think that that accomplishes a significant number of goals. So I'll go to the slide here. Everybody knows where Stager Road is, so we can move on from that. What are the benefits? Now, a lot of you have heard me over the years talk about this because we've owned this land for a few years. The benefits are, again, we create a live-work environment, which is what most communities are looking to do in today's world. They don't just want an industrial park. They want an industrial park that's next to commercial and next to residential. We figure out how to create the utility extension and the roadway of Stager Road getting built from Cicero. What will that do? A lot of you know that one of the challenges of getting to work at the industrial park right now is there's only one way to go east and west. That's University Parkway. You know, and then you have to go all the way around. By extending Stager Road from Cicero to Governor's Highway gets a second road of access east-west from the community to the east, which is where most people live, to the industrial park. It's also better for fire safety. It's better for access for emergency vehicles, and it's just better transportation. So you take a lot of the road off of I'll call it still Stunco, but University Parkway. There's now another access point to get to Governor's Highway. Okay, it increases the tax revenue without impacting schools. So when you add industrial property to a community, the tax base increases significantly, but we don't add a lot of children. Now, if you want housing in this area, you have to recognize that there will be children going to school. So, you know, the reality is that you're taking about 10% of our property and creating residential, but you're taking 10% of our property creating retail, which will bring in tax revenue, and then the balance for industrial will bring in retail. It increases the job base. If we can replicate even close to what we did with Ryerson and with Amazon here, you can recreate over 1,000 to 1,500 jobs in our business. It increases the industrial commercial tax base. I think University Park has seen the benefit of when a TIF district expires. You already have TIF 7 in place. But when TIF 5, I think it was, expired, it brought significant new revenue to the community, to the school districts. That's good planning. You know, I can't tell you it's going to be there tomorrow, but it will be there at some point in the future. And it creates that benefit. And it also creates a pot of money for doing improvements in that region. The other things that it does is, and I think you can see it now, I stopped off at the gas station at, I forget what it's called, it's Central. Yeah, I always stop there on the way here. And because it's great, they have great food, they have great, but that would not be there if there was not a demand. And the demand that services that gas station and that food service area comes from a lot of the industrial jobs that are there, from Amazon, from Ryerson, and from others that are up and down Central Avenue. By adding another 2 million square feet here and another 1,000 or 2,000 jobs, that will give support for the retailers to come to Stager and Cicero. Restaurants, maybe another gas station, other commercial that will pay sales tax revenues. So, you know, in finishing, what my ask is of the village, that's the last slide that's here. So my ask of the village, number one, is to expand TIF 7 east of Cicero Avenue, which will allow that property then to take advantage of the money that is going into a fund being paid by Amazon and Ryerson, sitting there, that needs to be used in the TIF 7 area for the benefits of the community. So that money can be used to expand, you know, Stager Road all the way from Cicero to Governor, at no cost to the village, and honestly, at no cost to me, because I would use those funds you know, I'd borrow the money, and then I'd use those funds to pay me back for building Stager Road from Cicero to Governor. But the real people paying for it are Amazon and Ryerson, because 25% of the taxes they pay go into TIF 7 trust. And so that's the commitment we would make, that if the village didn't want to use those dollars to build Stager, we would use those dollars to build Stager. And then the last thing is that we would create a development agreement together once we're in TIF 7 that would memorialize this agreement, where we would commit to building Stager Road if you would commit to putting us into TIF 7 and allowing us to use those funds from Amazon and from Ryerson that are currently going into the TIF 7 budget bucket. So that's it. So I can answer any questions that you may have about this.
So number 3 on your Venture 1 as the University Park says Venture Park 57 will receive all available proceeds from the existing and expanded TIF 7 area until the cost of the infrastructure is fully paid. How much time do you anticipate that would take?
How much time would it take? Well, it depends. Right now, we're estimating that the road will cost between $4 to $5 million. So we think our payback from the taxes would be somewhere between 5 to 11 years. It depends on what interest rates are at the time we do it. You know, we would create a development agreement similar like other developments we have, where we would invest the money in building the road, and then the taxes would come back to us that are in TIF 7 to reimburse us for building that road. And by the way, the village can use those proceeds to build the road. I don't need to do it. I don't need to spend $4 million of my money. The village can go borrow the money and pay for improving the road. That's fine. And then use that 25% that Ryerson and Amazon is paying into their TIF fund to reimburse you.
So wait, so let me just so we're gonna do the road we don't need.
Well, it
Okay,
depends.
wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then we're gonna spend our own tax money to build this road and then pay you back some of the money?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let me explain something. I own this land, and I'm happy to continue to be an investor here in University Park. I'm an investor in buying land here in University Park over the last 25 years to build buildings. And that's what I do. I'm a real estate developer, okay? I was, in talking to the village had mentioned to us that they'd like to have multifamily or additional residential in the community. So I've taken part of our land, and instead of using it for additional industrial, we're designating it for multifamily. The village also said to us, we'd like to have retail in that area. So I've taken the corner site, which could be an office building or something, and said that should be retail. And retail, we can get sales dollars, okay? None of that happens without Stager Road getting built. So if the village and their planning would like to see retail, multifamily, and industrial growth, then that road needs to be built. If that road doesn't get built by either the village or us, then none of that happens. And that's what you decide to do. It's your village. All I can do is try to provide you with the idea of how that might get accomplished.
I have 2 more questions.
You can have, sure.
You already have a partnership or been having talks with residential developers or retail developers? Because I was looking for a new home. I would not want to live across from the industrial.
Yeah, a lot of, I can appreciate that.
You know, you're looking around it, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't be. The industrial, can you show the map again, please? Can you get that up there? If you can, yeah, if you can somehow show the audience. Just perspective-wise, this is 26 acres. That's a very large parcel. Stager Road would be the road between the residential and the industrial. There'd be setbacks on the south side of Stager Road with landscaping here separating it. It's done all the time. And this would be retail here and here, buffering this from Cicero Avenue traffic. And again, you already have residential on the north side of Stager Road in Richton Park that's right across from Ryerson and Central Steel. So the premise that people won't live across the street from industrial, it's done all the time. And people like that because they could walk to work. That's just the way I look at it. Maybe the people don't want to live there, that's possible, and the apartments don't lease. But from my perspective, if we had 2,000 jobs here and 2,000 jobs here, we will find a residential developer to build those apartments. And I haven't talked to anybody. I have talked to the village about it because they've told me that that's in the plan to have more residential here.
The houses north of Rice were there before Rice.
Or what?
The houses were there before the.
That's right. But people are still living there. And again, I just had this happen in southeast Wisconsin, where I have a business park right there, and there's retail right next door, and I have a business park right there. And there's a residential developer building very nice apartments, 4-story elevator apartments. We'll hit the high end of the market, we think, right next to the industrial buildings I'm building, because the people that are going to work in those industrial buildings, will have a chance to walk to work and walk to shopping and restaurants, which young people are going to, mostly it's young people living in these apartments want to do. Maybe they don't have a car, maybe they want to just walk to work. So it gives them a chance to have a live, work environment, which is what's happening in today's world.
Okay, last question.
Sure.
Me. You said this may bring, you said 2,000 jobs?
Currently, between Amazon and Ryerson, we're well over, and Georgia Pacific, the 3 buildings I built here, we're over, I think, 2,000 jobs.
So we just heard from the first presentation, only 1.9% of residents actually work in University Park.
Yeah.
So there's a disconnection.
Yeah, and the reality is you need to change that.
Right.
And the way you would change that is by having new residential development in the community, expand that, make it affordable. One of the things that will happen here if you do this is that this property here will be in TIF 7, okay? Which if you use it properly, you can provide the same incentives you are to getting industrial companies coming here by giving them a tax break, giving them a rebate like we have with Ryerson and Amazon and Georgia Pacific and others when you had TIF 5. You can provide those financial benefits to the residential developer to be able to reduce his costs to make it more affordable. And that's what we're doing in Southeast Wisconsin. We're using our TIF and we're providing those benefits to the residential developer so that when he's done building the apartments will be less expensive to the people that will be living there. So if you want to create a less expensive environment for your residents, you want to utilize those tax dollars that are in TIF 7 to reduce the cost for the developer so he could lower his rent to the tenants. That's the ultimate benefit that you get by doing something like this. I'm not trying to create a new system. This is being done all over the country. I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have. And
Mr. Good,
yes,
when you developed Amazon and Central Steel, it was very concerning to me that we did not have any diversity. So how would you answer that? Would you be willing to do diversity, equity, and inclusion when it comes down to bringing contractors in?
we absolutely did have diversity with both projects. Amazon, in their contract with us, requires us to search out subcontractors who are women-owned and minority-owned businesses. We do that as a matter of policy. Now, in building a industrial building of today's vintage with precast concrete and steel roofs, there's only 2 companies in Chicago that create precast concrete. Mm-hmm. So, and they're big companies. So we hire them and we try to work with them to bring in diversity into their businesses, and they try to do that. Concrete companies that do the floors are very big, it's a 1 million square foot building. It's a very big. So where we try to find diversity in our subcontractors, our electricians, plumbers, landscaping, all the other items that aren't big structural items in the building, finishing plumber, carpenters, all of that for finishes inside the building. So yes, we work very hard on that, and we take pride in that. So, you know, I can't force Ryerson and Amazon. They do have diversity programs in their hiring, and I think Amazon strongly does that. But maybe I'm seeing it differently than you're seeing it, but that's what I thought. But I can't tell Amazon who to hire. That's not something I can do. I mean, you can work with them as a village. I'm happy to make an introduction, but I can't force a company to hire people.
Also, so you know, with our village, we have a handful of residents here tonight. And I'm looking at this, and what we need to do is you need to come and speak to more of us. And because none of our residents have any of the handouts. They don't have anything to read, take home, study, look at. And so you want us to make these decisions for our whole entire community, and they don't have any idea of what we're making decisions for tonight. So I would urge you that if this is something that you truly want to do, that you will set something up. We have the thing that's coming up.
Yeah, so I can comment on that.
Right, and you can come in and you can talk to our residents and let them know what your plans are.
Yeah,
because you want us to make a decision tonight that's going to impact the entire community.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, and I look forward to that. We originally had planned to do it on July 5th.
Right.
And we were going to do a community meeting. It was a Saturday. It was a holiday weekend. Honestly, I drove down here for that, but it was canceled, and I didn't quite know it. But I was here for that. I will do it if we can set it up. I'm very happy to do it. I'll hand out all the materials. We'll make a presentation. We can go in depth on the benefits of this. We can go in depth of how it's working in other communities and how that works. We can go in depth on our women-owned and minority-owned businesses that we would hire. I'm very, very happy to have a town meeting. I would encourage you to coordinate one.
Oh, yeah, that's what we'll do before we move this to the next agenda.
I'm happy with that.
Because they need to know where we're going with our community. Yeah. It's selfish of us not to be transparent when it comes down to the impact that it will have on their lives.
Yeah.
So
we were prepared
we would
to have that meeting
that.
back in July. We're prepared to have it now.
Okay.
We're happy to have it in the evening. We're happy to have it on the weekend.
Okay.
You just have to tell me when your community and citizens here and residents would be most available, because a meeting like that, and we do it all the time, is best when there's more people there.
Okay.
And so we would do it on whatever day you feel the majority of residents that you have in your community would be there.
Okay.
We'd be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
Mayor, one more. Okay, so I know the mayor will remember the development of the third airport. The federal department of transportation, I got really good grants to do it like roads, all the infrastructure towns around the third airport. So
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. We're building industrial buildings, not necessarily an airport, and so that's a federally funded program, not locally. But a TIF program was designed by the state of Illinois to specifically support the creation of infrastructure to support job growth in a community. So all we can use the TIF money for is public infrastructure and site work. And obviously you can provide, those are what the eligible costs are. And we can pass those savings on to the user in the form of a tax incentive. That's how it's done. So you have a certain amount of public infrastructure, you have site work that's there. Those are the eligible costs. So all we can do is add up the eligible costs that we're allowed to in a TIF district and use those, some of those for public infrastructure and some of those for incentives. And if you want, I'm happy to get someone from Intersect I'll try to get someone. Are you familiar with Intersect? Intersect is the significant state-run economic development group that's created in Springfield to bring businesses to the state of Illinois. Christy George is their president. She's brilliant. And I heard her speak because she's responsible for bringing large corporations to the state. All these big deals come in through their organizations. You can look it up, it's Intersect. And I heard her speak to a group of businessmen and women actually in Grundy County. And when she was speaking, she said the number one thing that companies ask for when they go to a community is for some incentives. And they compete with Indiana and Wisconsin and Iowa and everywhere else. So to put ourselves on the same level with our competition to bring jobs here, and I'm happy to have someone from Intersect come to the meeting if someone wants to learn about why do you need to provide incentives to corporations to come to your community. It's a very competitive market out there, and that's how Intersect really works to attract companies. They provide state incentives to companies to come to areas, and we work with them in a lot of our business parks. So I'm happy to have them join us if they're available, and they can walk you through that philosophy so you don't have to hear it from me.
Mr. Good, great to see you again.
My pleasure.
Of course, the last time you were here was September 12th, 2023, except that north end, I'm assuming that whatever sports dome site plan has been scrapped. However, I am still hearing the same numbers and the same offer of building that street. So I just want to remind those residents that this time it's still going to be same location, just a little different with residential on the front. But I guess the question I have for you, Mr. Good, you handed out a diagram on that date. So the question I have is that within the diagram, you have the proposal of warehouses. Will it still look like the two warehouses on the south end of those residential areas?
I can't tell you what it will look like. Our thought would be that we would do a build to suit for a company. We would not build on spec. Okay. So that's just an example of what can be done there, but probably something similar to that. But I can't guarantee it'll look exactly like that. In other words, we're not going to build those two buildings here. What we're going to do is look for the best company that would want to be here in University Park. For instance, Georgia Pacific was. They put out a proposal looking for someone to build them a building. Amazon put out a proposal for someone to build them a building, and Ryerson did the same thing. All three of those buildings are very different. They're all about 1 million square feet, but inside they're very different amount of parking. So we really don't know what we will build there, but it would be industrial in nature. It could be a 500,000 square foot building. It could be a 1 million square foot building. I can't tell you. It's really, but any company that takes a 500,000 to 1 million square feet is a pretty good sized building. And it's a pretty good sized company to be able to pay that rent or to own that building of that size. It's a substantial investment on their part.
Well, I'll just say, and I'll pretty much close out by saying that, everyone knows that I sat on the board that created TIP 7. And TIP 7 was supposed to be commercial. To this day, I'm probably going to go home and bang my head against the door and then take 2 aspirins and go to sleep. Because I've seen TIP 7 turn into industrial more than commercial. So whatever plan we had over there has been gone.
The TIP 7 plan.
But I will say that I do continue to hear the benefits of University Park because I was at a political event in 2022. Someone from Springfield said, and this is what I want trustees to understand, that we become the talk of Springfield. And the word out of a state senator and a state rep was that Amazon was the worst damn deal we ever made.
Who said that?
A state senator and his staffer and her.
Okay. Well, I've built 8 of their buildings, and I can introduce you to the.
I'm not finished with my time, Mr. Good.
I'm sorry.
So, in saying that, I want the trustees to understand that this is my 3rd term up here. Mr. Good do have a point on how to use that TIF money. I know how to TIF money at this point. I definitely know how to TIF money goes, especially when you done sat in the FBI office and you told what you can and cannot do over the years. But we continue to hear the benefits of University Park, and we have here increased future tax revenue without impacting the school, increase the job base of University Park, direct and indirect, increase the industrial commercial tax base, establish a long-term stable revenue, indirect long-term sales revenue, job stability, secondary growth such as retail, service construction, and employment opportunity for grads and community colleges. And my colleague right next to me, she did say something that is actually true. The unemployment rate in University Park is not high. People choose to move to University Park and then travel. I do agree when I hear the mayor and a couple trustees said we want to circulate our dollars inside. What I will say, Mr. Good, in order for me to say yes to something like this, we got to figure out another way to pay for that road.
I'm sorry?
We got to figure out another way to pay for that road.
Well, I will tell you this, that if I can comment on TIF 7,
I yield
please.
my time. Go ahead.
Thank you. The original going back, I've been here 25 years, so I've been in front of a board for 25 years. So that goes back. So I go back to many, many boards.
Right.
But originally, this land wasn't in a TIF. It got put into a TIF 20-some years ago into TIF 5. Okay? And this was Alan Silverman's land here. It didn't include this. And Alan Silverman hired us to try to market this and grow it. And we added this into TIF 5 right here. And we did the Georgia Pacific deal with only 7 years remaining on that TIF, which is very short. But even though we had a very short period of time, we still did improvements to Central Avenue. And when we did this building, we brought the water all the way here and all the way here and paid for that through the TIF. That was part of the program. And then when we did Amazon, we did this. But when we did TIF 7 here originally, it was because TIF 5 ran out. And we still had this land here, and you still had this land here for development. In order for something to be a really good commercial retail development, as you know, it has to be on an intersection with lights, signalization, and a lot of traffic. And Stager Road up here, being a 2-lane road with a very small road going over the bridge here, is not a retail road. It just isn't. And Stager Road at Central would never have been retail. Okay, where you've had the chance for retail, which I'm not involved in, is this corner here. And I have nothing to do with this land here. It got put into this TIF 7, and I was okay with that. I was working on it. They just added themselves to TIF 7 for this to be commercial.
Correct.
And that's fine, but I don't have anything to do with this. I don't own it. I'm not the developer of it. Maybe if I was, I would have worked hard to bring a retail developer in to make it a development. But because of what's happened here, with the number of jobs here and here, you got this gas station here to come here, which is a heck of a good job that the village did. This is, when I first drove out here and I saw that, every single pump was occupied. I went there tonight for dinner. I mean, this is a big earner. This is the corner that you could have retail on. Okay? So this up here was never going to be retail. There's no traffic. There's no lights. This corner right here, it should damn well be retail. It's got a new light. It's on Cicero Avenue, but it's got a dead end Stager Road coming here. There's no traffic. There's no cross traffic. So I would like to finish, please.
Go ahead.
The reality is, if Stager Road gets done over here to Governors, and I'm not a retail guy, then you can go to the retail guys and say, hey, this adds another traffic. People coming here to get to the highway, instead of coming down here and coming across, they can come across here. They can come down Cicero Avenue, a ton of traffic, or come here. So all of a sudden, these two sites can become a pretty good retail site, okay? But when you go inside those two sites to here, that's not on a corner. It's just on a road that dead ends. So realistically, to take advantage of location, this is the perfect retail location. This is not. This is an oddball shaped site has some wetlands in it up here you can't build on. So yeah, I can't build industrial here, okay, because of the oddball shape of it and the wetlands. What? It was going to go right here. It was small enough to fit right here. It was just, it wasn't that big. And I was going to park in the corner up here and on the odd shape. I mean, you couldn't build an industrial building there. It's a big square. This is square. This I can build, it's a square. I can build. Here, you need to have something funky. And you can do apartment buildings in here. It'd be really nice. You're in an apartment, you're overlooking some wetlands, you got trees. My property I sold to a developer in Wisconsin was in the middle of a wetlands. It was big enough, I could have built a 400,000 square building there, but he's building his apartments overlooking the wetlands and trees and forests. You've got that here. You've got a buffer here of beautiful wetlands up here that you can really design a pretty nice apartment complex right here. But they can't get there unless Steger Road is built. So now if you're going to build Steger Road for the retail in this, now I have something I can go out and I can say, okay, maybe I can bring some jobs in here. But the way Steger Road should get built is you shouldn't have to pay for it. I shouldn't have to pay for it. It should be paid by the money that Amazon and Ryerson is already paying into this existing TIF 7, and it's not being used because it needs to be used in TIF 7. So if you expand this, then you can take those dollars that these two companies are paying right now, and it's more than enough money for the village or for us to build this road. But you need to have this in TIF 7 so that it's a benefit. You can't use these dollars outside TIF 7. But if you expand TIF 7, you can use these dollars to do that. Now, it'll be, depending on interest rates and everything else. What? It would be, well, however fast I can get it paid back. I mean, the reality is if we build another building and more money comes in, it gets paid back sooner. But as soon as that road is paid back to me, that 25% goes back into the TIF fund and you guys can use it for something else. But you got the road built. And again, I don't need to build the road. You could build the road as the village and still use those dollars from here to build the road. But what you need to do before you can use those dollars, because it has to be used to benefit the TIF district, is to put this in the TIF 7 so you get access to those dollars to build the road. That's the deal. But thank you for the questions. And again, I'm happy to do a town hall.
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
So we did have this conversation before. Pretty much the same thing was presented. And then I know that was one of the things that we had talked about is that, well, I know I talked about is that not extending the TIF across on the other side of Sister Road to try to keep the industrial buildings all on the one section. So now it's crossing the street, which means that would be creating a new TIF because it's not just an expansion. When you expand it, you're going to have to create a new one. But extending it to go across, that means now we have two more industrial buildings on the other side. And that's not I don't see why we want to continue to put more and more buildings. Even in that spot right there under TIF 7, it's a location that is still empty, that is for an industrial building that has not been fulfilled yet.
I can answer that. I can respond to it anyway.
Sure.
Okay. This site right here, this left, has wetlands running through it here and here. It has only one access point where we can get trucks in, and that's right here. It's a functionally challenged site. It was the old theater site. Steger Road doesn't want to have trucks coming out on it, and we'd have to have our access point in between two wetlands right here, very close to the intersection. We think we can get a right to put cars coming out there, but not trucks. So it's a very challenged site, and it's not that competitive, okay? We're trying to make a deal here for 15 years, and companies are struggling with the access point here. But the reason that this works for industrial is you have to look at what's surrounding it. On one side, we have a rail line, but we also have wetlands and floodplain here that we can't build on, okay? So we can't build here, and then you got a rail line, and then you got some additional land over here. To the south of us is Carvana. They're already, you're not going to put a ton of houses right here because you got Carvana there. I mean, it's already a big commercial industrial type facility. So realistically, the only logical use for this is industrial, and then, and again, you put your multifamily here and your retail here. And from my perspective, and I know you're struggling with it, is that most communities look to bring more jobs in that are well-paying jobs. Industrial jobs pay better than almost any other job out there, especially today's industrial jobs. And so realistically, you can add 1,000 or 2,000 more jobs here. That would support more retail here and maybe lease up these apartments here. But there's nothing else that can go there. I mean, you got wetlands on two sides, you got a railroad, and you got a big Carvana thing there. So logically, it fits into that little area.
What you're saying there's nothing else that can go there, but then you're saying I could put 2 industrial buildings there.
Well, that's
so
because
on the other
industrial
side
doesn't care about a railroad being next to it, or a Carvana here, or retail. It's people don't, this to me, plus it's a couple hundred acres. It's wetlands and it's some floodplain, and we're just using this west half of the site here for the industrial. But that's I think good planning. And then that industrial companies that go there, that money that they pay in taxes go back into TIP 7 district to pay for additional improvements. And if you don't need additional improvements, then you can spend it in other areas and you give it back to the taxing body.
which I understand is just still, again, the concern for me is having additional industrial buildings on the other side where it could be for commercial and it can also be, like you said, for residential. So it's a spot for residential. But then now you're increasing the truck traffic on the other side. So even if that road was built, extended for Steger Road, you put 2 industrial buildings there, that's all that would be a lot of truck traffic that's right across the street from potential residential.
Yeah, I think
and commercial, which
agree.
would be taking up the spot right there. So I just see where we have an entirely big industrial park right now. There's some of them that are not even fully full. It's not a full industrial park. And then you have a piece of land right there that has not been fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I would love to have those particular areas taken care of instead of expanding it and increasing more industrial buildings on the other side.
I don't know whether, I've been in this village for 25 years and we've built a few buildings. I don't know if it'll be another 25 years before this gets developed. But it won't get developed without Steger Road. Whether it's residential, industrial, or commercial, nothing happens here until this road gets built. Zero. So if you want something to happen here, this road has to get built, whether you pay for it or I pay for it. And all I'm doing is trying to give you a business plan to how to get it done. So you have this road built. And realistically, the market will determine what should go there. It's not me. But from a practical perspective, this just screams industrial because of Carvana here, the railroad. And by the way, on truck traffic, we're projecting that almost 90% of our trucks leaving this site, like the trucks here, will go down Cicero Avenue on the university and go here and not go east. The traffic studies that we've seen in this area have all traffic either on Cicero, here, because that's a state route. You don't pay for it. And then Stunkel over here to the highway. That's how traffic will leave. It won't go through residential areas, which is another reason why it makes sense.
Mayor, may I make one comment? Mr. Good, I know one time we had a discussion and you said, you'll keep coming back because you've been doing business.
I'm 74 3 days ago. I don't know how much longer I'm coming back.
Okay. Well,
But someone else in my company might come back, but not me.
Yeah, right. Happy birthday to you, right. But I just want to make a point. We just had an election.
Yeah.
I spoke about that. I spoke about this expansion you wanted. Had a room full of people, 30 plus, say they don't want another thing over there by Carvana. They want commercial. And there are people in this room that was in that meet and greet I hosted back in March. They don't want it. So I'm just letting you know where I stand and my stance is with the people.
Yeah, and I can appreciate. Listen, I just own land. I own 1,400 acres around Illinois, and I'm very happy with you guys wanting to have something here that we don't think can work and we won't build it. That's okay. It's your town. Okay, I happen to invest in it, but it's your town. The reality is that all you have to do is go 2 miles up the road to 30 and Cicero and look at the commercial that's there. A lot of it's empty. The retailers are not building new commercial. This is 200 acres. I can put a mall here. Okay, on these two. You could put a mall here on 200 acres. It's not happening. I mean, that's the reality of the world we live in 2025, is it? Is that retailers are not expanding. Amazon's expanding. That's e-commerce is expanding. This is a life, you put restaurants here, banks here, some small shops, life center type things here.
Yeah.
That's what can happen here. And then use the other land for what it's really meant to be.
But I don't think it's your fault, Mr. Good, because at the end of the day, everyone in that room was very clear. Carvana popped up without people knowing about it. And so they feel that that whole front door at University Park has been crapped on by a large mechanic shop at the end of the day. So it makes a decision harder when you want to put possibly industrial right behind Carvana.
Well, let me say this. I didn't bring Carvana to you. I did not own that land.
No.
I would not have suggested to put industrial here. It's the corner of your University Parkway and Cicero Avenue. It's two major roads coming in off the highway. Right. Stager is not a major road. Stager's a little two-lane road up here. So all I'm saying is that this site's for sale. This site's for sale. Put retail here. You know?
Well, I'm glad you said it, Mr. Good, because I wouldn't have put Carvana there myself.
Yeah, but okay, so we can now agree on something.
Right.
That might be a first.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, so the reality is that you note of that. First time in 10 years, but the reality is that this should be your commercial corridor. And up here where you don't have a major cross street, make that where you bring in jobs and taxes and have people living there. And put this site right here in the commercial. You know, it's still as good as Carvana. It's on the corner of Cicero and here. You put a lot of improvements in here. Maybe this becomes commercial sometime. It's right on Stager, you know, close to the highway, across from this. I mean, that's where your retail would go. I've been in this business 50 years. My job is trying to figure out good planning. But retail could go here. All I'm saying is that this is not a retail site. It will fail. And I'm not looking to fail. So, you know, you can plan for that and never give me the right to build something there. But if you get another 2,000 jobs here, Theo, you'll have more people interested in putting retail and restaurants here. Because now you'll have 5,000, 6,000 people working within 1 mile radius of your main road.
And most people really want to work close to their job. And let's just say we're living in a world that is e-commerce, because all of us do get on our phones, and when we order, it comes to the door. I work downtown. I've been down there 37 years. There are many, many stores and restaurants in a prime area that have closed after COVID and have struggled to come back and are not back down there. So retail is really, really hard. You got your big Old Navy that's set right there on State Street. You have Macy's struggling. Macy's changed their name. It was Marshall Fields. The only thing that's saving that building is the Walnut Room, because it's historical. It's historical. So it only makes sense to me, my thoughts, that building a road only brings it and closes us out for the metro station, because we got to think about that. That's going to happen too. The metro is coming. We're rebuilding over there. That road only makes sense for residents who live in Richton Park, that come all the way around down Cicero, across over to park in our parking lots. If they had an easy road on Stager to come across to get in the parking lot, the metro station is our money too. That's revenue for us too. Retail is not like it used to be. It's not the same. It's not. All these stores are closing. You go over there and check out Crete. Their store, Kohl's is thriving over there. It's by itself. And I understand what you're saying, retail. We need something like sit-down restaurants. These people want to go somewhere and sit and eat, or even go to local barbershop, coffee shops. I understand what you're saying too, but we also have to think of down the line what we can bring in to lower the taxes for our residents. And that's only going to help us. And like you were saying, we don't need his money to pay for the road. We can do it out the TIF ourselves, so we don't have to take no loan out. That's what basically what we're gonna use our own money, put the dollars back in. That's all. I'll yield my time.
And trustee, I think you make a good point. But once again, we have to understand that when the residents ask for something, they expect results. I don't think we should go out and, again, this is something that was discussed just September 2023, except the only difference is where the red is at. He was that someone wanted to put not Mr. Good, but someone wanted to they wanted a sports dome up there. So I'm just conveying that when residents tell you that we want to see something different, we don't want to see any more warehouses, they need it. This is their tax dollars. And right.
I will tell you that Theo, if you were to TIF this area and you took this property out to developers and they could benefit from the TIF by getting some of that tax dollars back to help them with the cost of their project, it makes it more viable. You know, and it makes them more competitive to the person over across the street that doesn't have that opportunity. So you might be able to attract someone to do residential here by providing them with some incentive to do it. And again, I don't disagree with you that this road and Cicero Avenue here, you know, but put it at the main road into your town. This is your front door. Stager is not the front door to your community. This is the front door to your community.
Right.
So put some retail down here. But that's fine with me. And we'll try. My goal here is to put some restaurants here, you know, and whether or not, you know, it's a fast food or it's a sit down or it's a bank or whatever it is, that's what logically would go on this corner. And you need it in this area. You have to go all the way up to 30 to eat. So, you know, that's my thought anyways. But we would love to come back and, you know, hear what you say in the future. And I would want to move it back because I'm out of town that week and with my family. So if we could talk about the right day to do it, you know, there's just when I'm around, I would like to be there. Yeah, I'd like to be there. So if I'm very happy to do that. Liz, I'll set it up with Liz to come up with a day that works for the town and works for us. I'll talk to her and see if she can get one of her representatives coming. We have a good relationship with them, and they can walk you through what these companies are looking. The companies that are looking to move want retail and hotels and motels near them because they have people coming in from out of town that they have to entertain. So that brings that business to you.
This would help the university greatly, and this would help us get some of the things that they want to get. The hotels will come when we get those
that's
things.
What I just said. Hotels.
It would help the university greatly with their off-student campus.
Industrials.
It would be on the west side of I-57. West side of I-57.
You could build it down. You could build it off the interstate somewhere in here. Why not next to this?
No shit. It's
right here. I mean, it should go near the highway, right in this area where people can stay as they're traveling. No, I'm saying that there's land on both sides. Oh, I don't know. I'm not catching the joke. Okay.
All right. Is there anything else for Mr. Good?
No.
Mr. Good.
Thank you, Theo.
All right. We're moving that on, B. To the next agenda. Song you may. To the next agenda. Yes, with the workshop. Yeah, yes. we're gonna move to the next agenda pending the workshop.
I know everyone grabs them. They can't help it. I gotta wear the.
All right, well, we did. All right. You're right. You're right. I got the consensus. I can get a concurrence. We just said, those three just said the same thing. We're gonna move it for a workshop and then have them come back.
This is for
and move
continued
forward with the
discussion,
agenda.
but we're not gonna put this on the next agenda.
Right.
This is a
That's what I just
continued
said.
discussion. It's nothing's going on the next agenda.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's what the workshop is about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna come back for the town hall.
He's out of town, so we'll wait and we'll have a town hall.
Yeah, October the 4th, we want to get it done. No, we can get it done. October. It won't be on the upcoming agenda. We'll set it for a workshop, but we'll get it done for October the 4th to do the town hall meeting with the presentation for the residents. Okay. Yep. All right.
Okay, this is for an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of University Park and Van Gogh Pilot Vehicle Program. Normally, Sean Flynn, the representative for PACE, would have been here, but I'm going to read, and I did hand out to the board just this little brief pager that he did lend. Something came up and he was unable to make it, but he will be here if the board so decides to move forward. Van Gogh is a reservation-based round-trip service that is designed so you can drive within a defined zone around a transit station for getting to and from your job any day of the week. Once you are registered and have met PACE safety requirements, you can reserve a van. The Van Gogh van can also be used during the lunch hour. PACE will handle all maintenance and refueling of the vehicle. Service will be billed monthly. Fares are $5 per day for round-trip service. Commuters can find a Van Gogh van in the designated parking area at the metro station. Enter the access code into the keypad or the window to open the door and unlock the key locker. University Park will be PACE's 6th Van Gogh service in the region. This license agreement allows PACE to use 2 parking spaces in the metro station parking lot for stationing the Van Gogh vehicles. Commuters connecting from Metro can transfer to Van Gogh for last-minute service to their employment destination in and around University Park. So a couple things that I wanted to say about this program. It's not a huge benefit in the way of money or revenue to our budget, but this is a huge benefit to the community. We have a lot of kids in the community and people who maybe don't have access to a vehicle. As you know, there's a distance to go from point A to point B. We have PACE here, but we're very limited in our transportation. And this is they are located in Itasca, they're located in Rosemont, they're located in Lake Forest, they're located in Palatine, and from my understanding, they're in the process of doing an intergovernmental agreement with some other municipalities around here, although they haven't done that yet. They're in the process along with us. So what it is basically this is similar to Turo, if anyone's ever used it. They would only utilize 2 parking spaces. It's going to be near the entrance on the other side of where currently the handicap spaces are. So it's in that kind of turnstile area where the PACE bus drops off. So this is a partnership with CTA, Metra, and PACE. And I do think this could be very beneficial to the residents as well as people like we discussed when they come off of the Metro, they can then go into the industrial for work. And there's a few things that I pulled up about this system. You have to be at least 21 years of age. You have to have a good driving record. You have to pass a physical and a drug test and complete an online driver training class before they will let you into to be a part of this program. It's simply an application, an agreement, automatic payment plan, and copies of your valid driver's license and insurance card that anyone would have to submit. I also, and it is just like a minivan. So it's something that you could use also if you had to just make a trip and you had a smaller vehicle that you could use. Some things I also wanted to point out is that they are responsible for salting, for removing snow for those 2 parking spaces. If for some reason someone or they were to damage anything at the park, in the parking lot, they are responsible to fix that. They would speak with us with that. If the village, for any reason, is unhappy with the service, you have 60 days. Either party can terminate the agreement for any reason. The initial contract is a standard 2-year agreement. They are responsible for all of the signage. The village would not be responsible for anything out of pocket. And I wanted to say too, so then I looked up online because I wanted to see what the municipalities, their feedback. So this actually started around 2023, the end of 2023. And Rosemont had such great feedback from people in the area, as well as people who I guess benefited that went to concerts and everything in the area, that I pulled up. So this started in 2023 in Rosemont. And now I read this article today, June 17th of 2025. It says that they're expanding because it has been such a profitable experience for them and for that area, for the Rosemont and Itasca. So it was launched in 2023, and they were parked at the Rosemont L station and the Milwaukee District Metro Line's Itasca station. And they said they're very happy with it, and they are looking at expanding, and they are putting a lot more parking spaces. So it says, on Wednesday, June 11th, the Chicago Transit Board updated the agreement to give Pace additional parking spaces. So everyone, this is up to the board if they choose to do this. This would be from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. People would be able to access this van, and they would be able to drive around a designated zone, which is typically 5 to 10 mile radius from the designated parking area. And that's pretty much it.
You had a question? Yeah. I had a question. Go ahead. You were first. Yeah, I just had a question. So is it a possible, because we have 2 Metro lots. Is it possible to get 2 on the other lot too?
Yes, they will be at both lots. It's going to be 2 cars at each spot. So it'll be 2 on the east and 2 on the west.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm reading this, and it says the licensor, which would be us, at no cost to the licensee, which is them, shall perform or cause to have performed all property repair. And it's a little confusing for me. It says, provided, however, licensee shall be responsible for the reasonable cost of repairing any damage to the property caused by the licensee's use. So it's saying 2 things at the same time. Can you?
But they're the licensee, we're the licensor. Right. We would be letting them use the space. So that means that if they were to do any damage to our parking lot, or someone who's renting, they're responsible for the repairs, and it will be agreed upon, the cost prior to the repairs, and that is outlined specifically in the agreement. Well, the Metro lot is, yes. We actually have control of the entire Metro lot, and it goes right to the top of the stairs going down, and that is it. The rest of the Metro lot is the responsibility of Metro.
I yield.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, and residents. What we're looking to do is raise our ambulance rates to what we're currently charging to the GEMT. That's the federal funding that we're getting right now. One of the problems is we're billing so low that if GMT sees where we're at, they could actually lower how much money we're going to be collecting from them. Also, with the rising costs of ambulances and equipment, it's something that just kind of has to be done to make it solvable, where we can still stay afloat and get new equipment when needed. Yes, this is routine. Usually, most municipalities actually revisit their billing ordinances about every 4 to 5 years. This has been almost 10 years since we addressed our billing ordinance.
I just had a quick question. So when I was reading it, it stated that residents would not be billed for additional. If it's whatever the insurance pays, that's insurance, but they won't be billed for anything additional.
That is correct, because that's called balance billing, and with balance billing, the government has actually passed by 2027, your residents cannot be balance billed for the rest of the bill.
Okay. And then for the, I see it's of course it's a price for the resident and non-resident, but they're the same price. Is it a little discount or anything for residents?
No,
Okay.
because GMT pays one flat rate, doesn't matter if it's a resident or a non-resident.
Okay.
So that's why the price, working with the billing company that we use, they even suggested making it both the same because that's what GMT is doing.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we'll proceed to the next item. Moving forward, guys. Item 51E, an ordinance to implement a 1% grocery tax.
Okay, so the state fiscal year 2025 budget, they repealed the statewide tax on groceries. However, the authority to implement a 1% grocery sales tax locally by ordinance for home rule and non-home rule, it was approved as part of this package of legislation in the repeal. So this is a 1% standard. It's the same as the state. I did include to the board the list of all the municipalities. We do not have a grocery store. However, I think this would be very advantageous for us to pass this for future, not to mention that we do on non-hot foods that are like in PK Pantry, Dollar General, gas stations, we do collect a small amount. It's small, so it's not on here. However, we don't want to lose that. So this is just a standard. Following the adoption, we have to send this in. It has to be postmarked prior to Wednesday, October 1st in order for it to take effect January 1st of 2026. So this is a list. Almost every single municipality in the state has passed it. It's a formality. Once it's passed, we send this adoption on to IML and to the state for it to take effect.
One more item on that is as we get more and more individuals ordering food and having delivered, part of that change in legislation was that the tax goes on where is it delivered. It used to be the tax was determined, it was all combined at the state level and then distributed based upon population. Now it's on delivery location. So if the residents are having food delivered to their home, as a lot more people move to, instead of going shopping and just having food delivered, we collect, or the village collects the tax because it's being delivered into University Park.
Yes.
So, Manager Scott, what was the amount that we have received? Because I do remember being at the IML, whatever, and our number was like very, very small.
It's very small. It's around 10,000,
Okay.
I believe. It's very small amount. It's less than 20.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't think we really need to implement a 1% sales tax. I think what is happening now is fine. It's not like it's something that we're missing. I understand that some communities are implementing it once the state canceled it, but not all states and not all cities are bringing it back. So it's not like it was an actual big amount. I don't think, to me, it's necessary that we should implement it. That's my point.
How much money is that looking like? How much money is that? How much revenue is that? No. Yeah, well, yeah. That could give us an estimate.
Collect. But I think that we do need And if we do build a grocery store, let's say next year in the middle of the year, it will cause a break. Even though we can revisit this, there will be a break because you have to think from January 1st to December, that means we won't collect any money, which means we have the potential to lose, as you see on here, $1 million, $700,000 in 1 year. So you take that chance if you do that. And this is something that's already in effect. It's been in effect. It's not going to affect the residents, but I think it's something that we do need to still consider because we don't have a $25 million budget. We need all the money we can get, and I don't think we should take away revenue from our current budget.
Right. It's pretty much statewide. I saw it on the news last night. They were talking about it. So it does make sense to have it than not to have it.
An increase on our motor fuel tax. We have not raised our motor fuel tax since 2017. We are the lowest right now in this area. It's not a lot, it's 1 cent. It does make a difference though, it does add up. For example, Moni is at 0.05, Park Forest is at 0.05, Joliet is at 0.05. We are at 0.04 per gallon. Like I said, it hasn't been increased since 2017. Also, I'd like to increase our diesel as well. It's at 0.04 to 0.11. This is consistent with other municipalities in this area. Joliet just did it. They did this as well, and it is at the same rate, 0.04 to 0.05, as well as 0.04 to 0.11. The diesel isn't going to have a huge impact on the residents. It's going to have an impact on the people that go into our industrial, that uses our roads, that's tearing up our streets right now. So this is something that could be very beneficial to the community when you talk about repaving roads.
So we're moving from 0.04 to 0.05.
Yes.
And for the diesel is to 0.011?
Yes, to 0.11 to 11 cents.
0.1.
Moving on.
Until next month.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't see it in there said for Exhibit A to talk about what the whole contract is. I didn't see any information.
So I didn't do one. But it is It was in here. It was in here, or it was sent, but it is a draft agreement. It would be the standard $850 per month that we have raised the rents to. It's unit 34. The unit has been white box, so it's pretty much ready for him. He wouldn't have to do a whole lot on his behalf, but you may want to speak as to why you're interested in relocating.
Well, as you know, yeah, I'm right down there in the plaza next to. Anyway, good night, everyone. My name is Anthony. Everyone call me Tony. Yeah, I got the beauty supply, but things changed drastic for me with the new landlord. Yeah, it was. He wanted to like. Yeah, he really wanted to like, you know, overcharge me, I guess, like, because he wanted to raise my rent like double, and I really wanted to stay in the community. So you know, I have a talk with the mayor, and he said yes, I could, you know, come to the town center, and I want to stay in the community. You know, I live in the community, and we've been there for well, today makes 6 years since we've been in the community, and we want to continue to do business in the community. So I really love, you know, I really appreciate and love the opportunity to stay in the community and further on the business. I'm sorry. Oh, Tony, it's Anthony Richards. Anthony Richards.
So 34 is is it a little smaller than where you're at? Are you going to downsize?
I'm gonna make it work.
I mean, because you know, I do go up in there, and I'll be looking for certain things. So you know, I'm just looking at the space wise. It's like, I understand you're gonna make it work, but I know it is kind of like a smaller set based off of what you have now. So hopefully it works out. You pick the best stuff to put in there, I believe.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely, for sure. And most likely, like I said, I stay in the community, so I ain't going nowhere. Hopefully, if something open up, maybe you could go. Maybe you could use 34. At least.
Yes, it would be for 2 machines. As everyone probably knows, it has to be, there's certain parameters that had to be followed strictly by the state. So we were looking at putting it in the pro shop that's adjacent to the back doors leading out to the golf course. And we would do a build out, which would make the most sense for us. It wouldn't cost us a lot to just put a build out with doors, where there used to be 3 office tables. And so we cleaned that out. It's empty back there. We just have, I think it's a printer back there. So we thought that would be a good idea. We have a lot more traffic now, as people can see. We're doing well. And I think this would just be another added amenity. We do have events now, like first Fridays, the stepper set every first Fridays. Please come out. It was really a great success. And we're going to continue to have other events. So I thought this would be something that that the village could benefit from, hopefully add a little more revenue to our line item. And that's it. But it's a desire of the board. Okay, I wanted to make a couple statements about this. So I got an appraisal for this building. A young woman came to me and the mayor, she was interested in putting a Dunkin' Donuts at that location. 505 University Parkway, which the residents are probably familiar with. That is the old media building where Nyniba used to work. And it's dilapidated. It needs a lot of work. It needs mold remediation, all kinds of stuff. It's an eyesore. It's just sitting stagnant. We need to get this back on the tax rolls. And this is a national chain. She didn't come tonight. Something came up, but she's still waiting to hear back because you have to submit. So she owns locations in Matson and Joliet, and she told me the process is, you have to submit the location to Dunkin' Donuts, and they have to give approval if they're able to build there. So she still hasn't gotten the green light back. There were a couple other areas that I suggested to her, but she was kind of interested in that one particular area. So we'll see. We also have someone else who may be interested if the Dunkin' Donuts does not want to go there. However, I thought that this would be a better opportunity for the residents to have a national chain. So we'll see what happens with this, but I did want to just make those comments about this. So she's looking forward to coming. Hopefully she'll get a green light and she'll be back to present to the board and the residents.
So you have the appraisal. Is that the actual selling price or is it different? An appraisal.
So the appraisal here is approximately $185,000.
Be the selling price, or is it? Is it on the market for sale? That's what I'm saying.
It's not on the market
Okay.
currently. I got this appraisal because she came to us and she was very eager to bring forth this location to the Dunkin' Donuts. So I got this appraisal. She wanted to give me a letter of intent. I told her I was not able to do that because I had to speak with my board first. But I didn't think you guys would have an issue with possibly bringing a Dunkin' Donuts. The price is negotiable. And we have done no talking with her about the price because we wanted to consult with the board.
All right, now the donut. Oh, she's not here. She's gonna come back in October. She has to still wait to see if she gets the okay from the franchise. So yeah, that'll be good there. Then now the discussion about the golf cart donation to the University Park Lions. Go ahead, Mike.
So I'm going to bring Mike Vey up. I wanted to actually have everyone lay eyes on him. I think most of the board has met him if you've been to the golf course. I know several of the trustees have. But this is Mike Vey. I hired him a few months ago. He's one of the best hires I've ever made. I'm going to say that. He has really turned this golf course around, as many of you know. We terminated the contract with the management company that was there, walked into it, and had to start from scratch. So Mike has been very instrumental in turning this place around. I want to tell him thank you so much because you walked into a lot. And I appreciate you taking this journey with us. I'm very impressed, very happy. He has brought it in. He has turned us to paying out a substantial amount of money every year to us actually in the black collecting revenue now. So that's a huge plus for this community who has been putting out contracts with management companies for a long time, and now we've made it so that we can actually run it ourselves, and it can be successful and an added amenity and something that the community can be proud of. So you got this one, Mike.
Thank you for the kind words, Mayor, trustees, residents. This has been an incredible experience. Honestly, the community's rally behind this facility is just unbelievable. The people have come in and are just so happy and excited to have the place up and going again, and it's been very, very heartwarming, and I'm excited to be a part of the group, and looking forward to bigger things going forward. Come and see me. I'm there almost every day. Show you around and talk to you, and we're excited about things going forward. As far as the golf carts, Liz had asked me to look at some golf carts that were involved in a flood in 2024. And about possibly donating them to the football team, correct? I had 3 companies come out and look at these golf carts to give us an idea of what it would cost to get them up and going. Unfortunately, the cost is almost $2,000 a golf cart. They had mechanics come out, look into them. The motors are seized. They were underwater for quite a bit of time. And they basically recommended that you would be better off just to buy a good used golf cart versus putting the money into these, because they wouldn't even guarantee that they would continue to operate following being repaired. What I did do is these three companies also buy and refurbish golf carts. They sell them to homeowners and parks. I asked them what these golf carts would be worth if they'd like to buy them from us. They're just basically sitting there. One of the companies wanted nothing to do with it. Another one offered us $300 a golf cart, which is nothing. This VIP golf carts, which they're a very big operation, offered us $20,000 for 26 carts. They're just sitting there. I mean, I think this is a nice move for us. I don't know what we would do with the money. That's up to Liz and everybody else, but I just think that the longer they sit there, the less they're going to be worth. This guy's sitting, waiting for an answer, so the faster we do it, the better, but this is a great move for us, I think. Any questions?
You said that they offered you how much for it?
$20,000 for 26 carts.
For 26? How many do we have?
There's 28 there. 2 were going to be donated.
It's 28, so the 2 you was talking about donating.
And there'll be 26 for $20,000, like $750 a cart.
Okay, and they're running?
What's that?
Are they operable?
No, the motors are seized on most of them. There's water in the crankshafts. There's rust everywhere. They were involved in a flood in 2024. So they've sat for 20 months. Yeah, they don't operate at all.
So, okay, so I understand for the 26, so for the 2 to do donating, they're not working. So,
if the board so desires, I thought it would be a nice gesture. I did have conversation with the UP Lions, with Mr. Alsbury, and they really could use a golf cart or 2 when they transport the kids. Someone gets injured, and they have to transport them across the field for seniors. So we had a conversation about it. I said I need to speak with the board to see if that's something that that you would be interested in. It would cost us $2,000 to fix each cart. If the board would like to just fix one and donate it to them, you can do that. It's whatever the desire of the board. But they're not usable. Like when I say this, they look hideous. There's nothing that we would be able to use anymore for the golf course. They're done. I mean, and they're rusted. It would literally be a basic motor vehicle for UP Lions to use. It's not the cutest vehicle, but it's something that would serve its purpose for the community, for the kids.
Yeah, they didn't recommend fixing them. They said for a couple $1,000s they could probably get them up and running, but they said there was rust on the bearings, there's rust in so yeah, it's a couple $1,000 a cart to fix them, and you could buy a used one for somewhere around $2,500. And they're 10 years old too. They're 2016s.
If the board desires, we can buy one and donate it to the UP Lions and keep the proceeds for us to do other things, to put back in our general fund, and maybe just buy a new one for them. But you said it was how much for a new one?
You can get a nice used one for around $2,500.
So if the board would like to do that, we can just sell them all and then purchase one for the UP Lions for $2,500.
I would recommend that versus fixing them, because he made it seem like it wasn't going to run very long, even if they got them up and going.
Okay.
Well, so I have, so purchasing one, I know that they do receive a reimbursement, so I don't see why the board would have to purchase one. That's the option that they can be able to do, as in like the whole trade-in or whatever. But I think it should be something also available for other organizations to be able to utilize. So not just donating to one. There's a lot of other organizations here that would be able to use it as well. So just donating to one, I don't think that's fair. I think it should be something available to others to use as well.
I know we always say we want to give back to the children.
Yes.
And this is a way to give back to the children, because we know all the organizations work hard for these kids in this community. And I think purchasing a couple of them, giving one to whoever needs it, I think that's a benefit for us, for our kids, because you hear a lot of the parents say, we don't give back. This can be part of us starting to give back a little bit more. You know, a golf cart is not going to hurt us, I don't think, $2,500. And everybody loves the kids, am I not right? That's what we say all the time. We love the kids. So I think we should purchase a
And
couple.
to that point, I want to say the UP Lions are one of the best, outstanding organizations in University Park. You don't hear the controversy. Coach Tutu and others in Owlsbury have done a superb job, and many of those young men have gone on to bigger, better things. So I'm all for UP, the village, giving the Lions a golf cart. That's what I feel. Thank you.
And I like to say, I agree that giving back to the kids, but I want to make sure that other organizations also have that opportunity as well, not just the sports ones, but there is Community Block Club, different groups that does things in the community that might be able to utilize the golf cart as well. So they have events that go on as well. I don't want us to just be singling out just one to say we'll give it to them when there's other organizations that's in the community that might be able to use it as well. So if we was to say donate them one, then make sure that it's just, I would say, to make an opportunity where there's one that is, we get another used one, have it available, so when other organizations need a golf cart, they can come to the village and say, can I use the golf cart? This is that we have to be fair. It's all about the kids, of course, but we also have other groups that's here in the community that can utilize these things.
So let me say this, the other group that I know of is the Flyers, and they're down at the Flames. They're down in Crete. I don't think they're going to be driving the golf cart down University Parkway. And then from my understanding with the baseball team, they don't play in University Park. They're in a totally different league. So I can't see them driving a golf cart to another community either. So,
well, the baseball organization, once the fields get together, they can use the golf carts to go from field to field.
Do they practice here?
Yes, they practice here.
Oh, okay.
So they practice here,
aware.
and yes, they practice here. They've been practicing here and playing here for years.
Oh, no, I'm not saying. I'm talking about for the
didn't know
last
that
year.
because my grandson never mentioned that.
They practice here. They have been practicing here.
Okay.
And that has not
I didn't
changed.
know.
So I'm saying, for instance, the baseball organization, we have the Community Block Club that does different things within the community. They do cleanups. They do a lot of different things that Ms. Trust works with the youth and the residents as well. So I can see where it's an opportunity where other people can also utilize a golf cart. So if we wanted to donate one to the Lions, we should have the second one available for others in the community to be able to use as well. So if we're doing one, I think we should do two. If you wanted to give it to them, that's fine. But also have one available for those to be able to utilize at the, I don't know if it's going to be stored at the golf course or wherever, but if it's something where it's needed, then it should be available. So I want to make sure that we are supporting the entire community with their efforts with working with the youth, working with seniors, and working with doing things with the residents. So.
Trustee Jenkins, Bill.
I think that the gesture, Mr. Vague, to give the golf cart to the University Park Lions was a wonderful idea. That is one of our organizations that has been grounded and founded in this village for over 50 years. And they need to be celebrated. They've never veered away from our community. They've always been here supporting our children when they were good on the field and when they were bad off of the field. So I have to give my hat to Coach Tutu, his family, and his wife, and their diligence with our children. And so when it comes down to another golf cart, I think another time will be a good idea. I do, and I can entertain Trustee Fulcher's idea, but not as of right now. When it comes down to the baseball organization, I think that we need to also take into consideration that they are not founded and grounded in University Park any longer. I've had an opportunity to talk to some of the league representatives that have said to us that our children, they didn't want to play in University Park because they had heard of gunfire and marijuana smoke. That's why they moved them to either Moni or Creek, and this is verifiable information. So our fields are not where they need to be. No, they're not. But we had Mr. Good that had pumped thousands of dollars into that field, and it came around, you know, but we did not have the support to keep the field up. So with that being said, the UP Lions have not received any renovations for their field that needs a massive renovation. So this will be a wonderful gesture toward the University Park Lions, and thank you again for that idea.
Thank you, everybody.
Just one for now.
Last item on the agenda, I'm asking the board, it's the discussion of the 25-26 budget ordinance. And as we know, we can just pass the first reading and you can make all the adjustments and everything. No, I know, we just discussed it. Okay, all right, so it's on the floor. Any questions regarding the upcoming budget? But the whole thing is to pass the first reading. Then everybody can have their changes and everything going to it after then. But let's get this process started. That would be my ask. So questions, Brooks? Questions? Okay. All right. But let's do the first reading. Can we pass it on? No, we're not passing it. We're not passing it tonight anyway. Just put it on the agenda for the first reading. Yeah.
First reading.
Yeah, that's.
I did want to add, this was given to the board about a month ago. I did email this some time ago. So, and I did ask the board that if they had any questions. Yes, that was. No, so the only difference, and I wanted to also state this publicly, was Trustee Fulcher requested that the actuals be placed in for May. We obviously can't do the other couple months that just passed because they're too soon. We don't have those numbers. But Chris did do a yeoman's job and did add in the actuals for May. That is the only change that we made from the budget that I sent out a few weeks ago.
So I do have, and I did speak to Chris on some other things, but I do have several questions. I don't know if we want to go through all of them, but there is multiple questions. And I know I said I was going to reach back out to you again to address the rest of them, but I didn't want to be, I already had caught you for an hour, and I didn't want to be us being billed for additional time. So I don't know if we want to go over some of these things or anybody else have questions first. Well, just note, for the record, I do have multiple questions. So I can send this information over to you, or I could reach back out to you before the next board meeting to address them and see, you know, the response. Okay. I don't know. Did you?
All right. Good evening, everyone. and forgive me if I have my back to you while I'm speaking, using my audience as I'm facing them. My name is Patrick Jones. I'm running for the office of Will County Sheriff. I've been with the Sheriff Office for 24 years. During my tenure with the office, I worked corrections, patrol division, crime scene investigator. I was a SWAT operator, a SWAT sniper. I currently hold the position of assistant team leader with the crisis negotiation team. And I'm also hold the rank of sergeant in the patrol division, the east side of Joliet. While working with the sheriff office, I've handled everything from being ambushed by gunfire to negotiating on the side of a road with a person with a pistol to their head, trying to let them understand that they have a reason to live. I still talk to that individual to this day. To me, that's true community policing. I've also believed in truth and transparency. If there's any use of force against a citizen, against one of my deputies when I'm sheriff, that video should be released within 72 hours. If that force is deemed unnecessary, the appropriate measures should be taken immediately. Recently, I toured DuPage County Jail. My mother used to always tell me, idle hands is a devil workshop. So in our jail, when I was working there, and currently we have no programs in place, but DuPage does, at zero cost to the taxpayers. It comes directly out of the inmate welfare program, which by law, we make a profit off their commissary, we have to give back to them, put in programs that's suitable to them. DuPage has small engine repair, painting, you can get your sanitation license. This reduces recidivism, okay? We want these people to go back into society and being productive citizens. If you want to know anything else about me, please go to my social media platform, Patrick Jones for Will County Sheriff. I also have petitions. I need to get on the ballot. I got 1,233 signatures I have to get on the ballot. I want to get 3,000. Lord say the same. So if you would, I'll direct you to the gentleman who looks like Chuck Norris over there. Could you please sign my petitions if you live in Will County? I thank you for your time. Do we got time for any questions? I know we burned a bit that oil here.
No questions.
No questions.
Tonight.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I appreciate you and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank
Absolutely,
you so
Mr.
much.
Jones. Patricia Calloway. I'm not going in order.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, and board members. Biggest my mouth is y'all forgive me. I'm here not to start confusion or trouble. I'm here as a concerned mother, grandmother, great-grandmother. But most of all, I'm here as a concerned resident of the University Park community. I am a registered voter and an Illinois taxpayer. While sitting here listening to everybody, I have to apologize to you, Mr. Mayor, and board members. I have to apologize to you, Mr. Mayor, and the board members, because while sitting here, my lovely daughter was looking through her phone and she found a text message. All of the questions and the things I wanted to ask everybody, I am not allowed to ask due to the advice of legal counsel. And again, I really and truly apologize to everyone for taking up your time. I didn't just want to walk out and just leave it blank. So I'm not rude like that. So thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and residents, trustees. I really want to say the report on the golf course was really pleasant to hear. And I really recognize that the things that are being done for the children here with the football team is great. Tonight I'm going to ask my daughter to read this to you because I have a visual problem this evening. So, can you step up on it? I'm going to give a copy to each one of the trustees. Okay.
Yeah. All right. It says, good evening, Mayor and trustees. I am writing to express a serious concern regarding the recent incident involving Mr. Benny Edwards.
Can you hear him? Can you hear her?
Mr. Benny Edwards, a code enforcer who visited my home on Tuesday, September 2nd. His approach felt intrusive and harassing to me and my family. I believe this visit may have been prompted by a trustee whose conduct I find deeply troubling. This individual, in my view, engages in misleading and self-serving behavior, presenting a fabricated persona to residents while pursuing questionable deals and alliances. Such leadership undermines the integrity of our village and erodes trust among constituents. During Mr. Edwards' visit, he questioned the number of items I had placed on my lawn for garbage pickup. I explained that I had not yet contacted the garbage company, but intended to do so, as I've never had issues in the past. He initially held a violation ticket, but immediately did not issue it. I also asked that if he knew anyone who might need a pair of brand new box spring mattresses, and he said he would inquire. Mr. Edward proceeded to Trustee Sonia Jenkins' house to make his inquiry. Miss Jenkins' spouse came down to my home and stated that he would have to make a few phone calls to find out who wanted a pair of box springs. Shortly after, another individual who appeared to be a code enforcer and displayed a badge resembling police identification approached me, stating that he had sent Mr. Edwards. I asked him what the problem was. He stated, "No problem." I reiterated that the mattress has been addressed and again asked if he knew anyone in need of the mattresses. He stated that he did not know of anyone who needed mattresses. He did not provide his name, but he drives a newer model purple hatchback. I placed larger items out for garbage collection on the past without issue. This sudden scrutiny feels
That's the 3-minute bell.
targeted and
I'm
unnecessary.
sorry that it must. I got to stop you because I got to be fair to everybody.
I know, it's intrusive, but she's got 2 lines. Okay?
All right, but that's the 3-minute mark, so I'm sorry she can't finish now.
And the first persona. Okay, the other thing I wanted to let you know too,
The 3 minutes.
on the day that my garbage was being picked up,
Ma'am,
the code
the 3
enforcement
minutes are up.
came there talking to the garbage man about my items.
Miss Mary Trust, please.
I feel like this is harassment, and I wanted to stop.
You want to say something? Yeah, well, I'm not going to silence your voice. Trustee?
Mrs. Boyd, I have no idea of what you are talking about, and I don't really interact with code enforcement, so I don't. So when did he come to my home? I'm trying to get clear understanding. He came to my home? And
Mrs.
Okay,
Truss,
that's okay. I waited all this time. I can wait a little bit more. Y'all too? Y'all too?
Mrs. Mary, Mrs. Truss. That's
My name is Mary Truss. I am not paranoid, neither am I a schizophrenic. But I'm concerned about our village, and now I know that the village manager may be having a problem hiring people because ICE is running around and a few others may not want to work. But these things we've got to address these things. When I come north, if I'm coming from the north into the village, the first thing I see is Mayor Rudez on a sign. And the next thing I see going south on Western is someone with a construction project's been going on for 2 or 3 years. Usually, according to our codes or in a code anywhere else, there's a dumpster out there. It looks a mess. I personally drove Trustees Jenkins around to look at this mess. And it's a horrible mess. Unacceptable. Did some surveying over at the golf course, and they too are concerned with their patrons coming into the village. And now he says that he has about 3,500 cars. That's the Deer Creek golf course. And they're talking about, that's clean up the act now. The community block club does do cleanup every now and then, but we've been, most of us got arthritis. So we can't go around and do these things, but this is terrible the way things look. Now, you've had a presentation here tonight, and it was all about homes being built here and whatever. Now, I have a family member who is a builder, and no way would we do things like they're doing here. Now, you got to have some rooftops here in order to carry on, but you can't get the rooftops if the place looks like it looks. You got to do something about this. You got to show that people live here. You get off Interstate 57. I worked on that committee getting that off ramp there. There's no sign of people. All you see is a big industrial park. You come from the east, all you see is junk. You come from the south, all you see is junk. Okay, we got to clean up this mess. And 5:30 in the morning, you can't get off Black Hawk onto University Parkway. There's so much traffic going to the industrial park. And the industrial park is loaded with people coming from other state called Indiana over here to make our good money. But there's no sign of people here. You don't see that because all you got is all this other stuff around you. Now, I want you to keep this in mind. Now, I don't know how much education you guys have had, and I don't intend to insult you, but there's something called industrial. There's something called commercial, and then there's something called residential. Now, where do we fit in? There's no sign of people. You are not going to get a mass building or any kind of building going, no rooftops here, if you don't have signs of people here. Understand? And I don't mean to take up your time, but I'm going to tell you, when you have these long meetings like this, there's too many. Mayor, I know you control this and all that, Mayor, but that's too much going on. And arthritis, sitting still and arthritis don't mix. You can't just stand up. You got to move around. And I'm not trying to be insulting, but not only do I had to get up here tonight, but I had to move around. I have arthritis in my knees. And I'm not the only one. You don't just keep sitting here, okay? I know that you don't just keep sitting here. You get up and go to the bathroom. Okay. Good night, people.
Thank you.
Industrial, commercial, residential.
All right.
And if you need some advice or talk to somebody, I have a relative that was a part of redeveloping that airport in Denver. Good night. I gotta go.
Miss Millie? Yep.
Hello. I'm commonly known as Miss Millie. Want to let you know, Joe, I don't like your behavior. I don't like how you lie.
There she is. You done violated already. You gotta go.
What you talking about?
Go ahead. Let me hear you. Go ahead. I'm not Joe. I'm the mayor.
I've known you for over 30 years, and I've always called you Joe. But I'll play your game, Mayor. What?
As long as she don't bring up my name, she can talk. Outside of that, she'll have to go. That's the court order.
Okay, it's a court order. Can I finish my statement? The way this village look and the job that the board does or isn't doing, I should say, is not acceptable. As I looked and saw how Black Hawk was being constructed, and lines painted, marked, and it stopped at Hickok. We got 2 schools in University Park that belongs to District 201U. Those schools were left unmarked and no stripes. But now I see that you finished the stripes on Black Hawk, but there's still Olmsted. The job that you do as a mayor is not good at all. The way that you take our departments and cause them to use them against us. I was taken into court because 2 policemen came and asked me to move. After a little conversation, I went ahead and moved my car from off of Sandra Drive. But then the next day, you had someone to come over and serve me a ticket. Don't understand that. We're talking about we had the big guy and one of the policemen that came and asked me to move, and I moved. Then you go on to serve no stalking. No stalking. I've never stalked you a day in my life. Never. You went on to say that I'm the cause of you coming through a different interest and making an exit out of that interest. But here's the thing. Here's what I want to tell. What I want to tell the chief. When he warns everybody, you need to be warned too.
Let me grab that for you.
3 minutes are up. Deborah Stroud.
I'm sorry. Good evening, everybody. Manager Scott, the housing plan that was spoken of tonight, that was great, but it would be helpful to the residents if at any point in time we too can read something ourselves other than just view what's on the screen. It gives us a better understanding to go along with what's on the screen. Okay, some kind of handout, something of that nature. I know the gentleman said that that can be forthcoming, and you said that this tonight was a draft. So for the next time they appear, can we have something by then? Thank you. Also, Trustee Williams, you had mentioned that there was going to be an industrial park meeting coming up. Do you know when that date might be?
I'm trying to see about putting that together this fall, the end of fall. It's going to be towards the end of the year. We had it when I first got here. I think it was around like October, November. And we do, or was it September? So December. Okay, so I'm trying to do it again at the end of the year and bring all of the industrial partners together to talk and have discussion about partnerships with the community, and that will be in December.
Okay. All right. Will there still be an opportunity of being involved with the housing plan since tonight was a draft of it? Or is that complete of those that were participating?
Unfortunately, it is completed. We did it over the course of, I want to say, at least 6 months. We did put it out. We also put out a survey, and I was sad to say that only 3 people returned the housing survey. Very disappointed. We put it on the village website. We were handing it out. We actually had some here, and I think we got 2 or 3 back. So, but there, like I said, we are at the end. We will be presenting this when it is, we are trying to adopt it by the board, but I can make sure that you do have a copy.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And with the conversation regarding the donation for the Lions, could I get a clarification? It was a suggestion of purchasing and donating, purchasing 1 or 2 for another organization. What was the final consensus? Ooh. What you what was the final consensus of the golf carts in relation to the Lions?
The final decision was that we're going to purchase the Lions, a golf course, and we'll address the other issues down the line when we come around to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'll continue next meeting. Thank you. Everyone have a great, great evening. Go
Denise
home and get a
Richardson.
nap.
Good evening, Mayor and Trustee. My name is Denise Richardson. All the trustees, good evening. My question is, it's very brief. How can you all take care of the stray cats that's in our community? Hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, how can we take care of the stray cats that are in our community? Because I have about 6 cats lined up in front of my house. I take care of my property.
Animal
I
control.
want those cats gone.
Animal control.
Animal control,
Do
University
not look
Park.
at
It
Theo
does
no more.
state in the literature, if you look it up, University Park first. So the cats needs to be gone. I have a nice backyard patio. Everyone probably didn't see that. You walk past the gazebo. I don't want those cats in my yard. I take care of my yard myself. My husband is deceased. So I have to do it myself. I don't want those cats there. So can we please get rid of the cats? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ladies and gentlemen, is there a motion?
Wait.
Oh, wait a minute, Trustee Williams.
I'm 100% with you about the animal control. Maybe we can buy that old animal hospital and do something with it and make some kind of way for them. But anyway, I'm inviting the homeowners associates to come to a meeting on September 25th held here at 6 p.m. There's a lot to talk about. It's not a gripe session, but it's a concern session. People have concerns because they're paying big money for dues and they're not getting the services that they should receive. I've gotten numerous calls on this from different associations. So we have several associations in the community. People want to know what's happening with their money. A lot of them have not had meetings since COVID, which is unacceptable. We used to meet once a month, first Monday of the month, 6 p.m. right here. And we would let the homeowners come out and discuss what they needed done. But now we don't meet at all. And I'm hearing some of the other associations are not meeting, or they're meeting at noon while people are at work. So there's a lot to discuss. Come, so that we can get together and find out some clarity on what is happening and how we can move forward. And this is not a one-time deal. This will be a monthly meeting for all the associates, and I will be heading it off, and I will be getting people to join and represent their homeowners association. So please come out that night. I think Ms. Stroud asked if she could come. You're welcome to come, Ms. Stroud. Thank you.
All right, is there a motion, please? Move. All in favor? Opposed? None. Have a good night.